community, our hometown. This is Kearney Live on 102.7 FM, our hometown radio station. Kearney Live is presented by Kearney Trust, 310 West 92 Highway in Kearney, 816-628-6666. And now here's the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis and Jim Dickerson.
Thank you. Welcome to Kearney Live. I think I need a little headset, Brian. Something's going crazy here. That's a little better. Something a little strange here. I'm assuming we're on the air here. We had a sort of a minor crisis, a technical crisis here at the beginning. You are, I believe, with us here on Kearney Live, 102.7 FM. I'm your host, Mike Davis, along with Jim Dickerson and producer-engineer Brian Watts, who does a terrific job on just about everything he does and seems to be doing a terrific job troubleshooting for the time being. And we also have, I'm kind of excited today because we've got Alex Porter in with us today. Alex, how you doing?
Great. How you doing?
Good to have you here. Alex is the third Alderman candidate in our series that got, it was shut off during the COVID-19 crisis. And we've had, of course, Marie Steiner and David Lehman have both been in here, and they were terrific guests. But finally, we get Alex in here, and I'm excited to meet him because we know his dad, who's a terrific friend of the radio station and a sponsor of the radio station, and his grandfather, Mac Porter, who has actually been on this show with Mayor Bill Dane back in the day, and it was a terrific show, and we learned so much history, and hats off to Mac for everything he's done for this town, for the city, that goes clear back into the 50s. Isn't that right, I believe, Alex? 50s?
Yes, sir, 1952.
That's pretty amazing. And you just love seeing a family that has been around through so many generations that has done such a tremendous job of helping the folks in Kearney and the commerce and the things that are necessary to help a community like this grow. Jim, how are you doing today? It's good to see you.
I'm glad to be here. It's good to be seen as well. And I was going to tell you as a follow-up on the people that were on the show beforehand, you can go back and look at our Facebook Live feed or our Facebook feed, and you'll see their program there. You can also go back to the podcast. So if you want to go take a look and see, compare all the candidates, you have the ability to do that. You can check them all out there on our Facebook page or our website.
1027 KearneyMo/podcast, right? 1027KearneyMo.com/podcast.
That is correct. Or just go to the homepage there and it will go to the podcast section and it'll take you to all of them. You can do that. You know what else you can do is you can go back and listen to football games.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully we're going to have those coming up in the future. I'm looking forward to that.
The other thing I wanted to mention, too, Brian, this last weekend was Memorial Day. And it turned out to be actually a very beautiful weekend, a nice 3-day weekend. And it wasn't as if people needed another day off, but you get my drift on this thing. And just a quick shout out, if I could put it that way, to all of the veterans and certainly all of those folks in the military who served and gave and made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom in this nation, the greatest nation on the planet. We appreciate you, and a salute to all of you and family members. And, of course, Alex, you are a veteran too, by the way, right?
Yes, sir. I spent 7 years in the Air National Guard as a special warfare officer and TACP.
Well, we sure appreciate that and appreciate your service. It means a lot to us. And I'm sure lots of people had great times. We had family together, which was kind of nice, especially after the COVID-19 and so forth. And good to be back and be around the folks you love, and maybe have a little picnic and some lots of good food and lots of good drink.
Did you have a gathering at your house?
I did, as a matter of fact. And Jim was
anybody show up that you didn't expect?
Jim was the surprise guest one evening when my brother came over and my two sisters to celebrate my brother's 60th birthday. And Jim called me and actually sent me a text message and said, "What are you doing?" as he has been home. His wife is out of town, who's also a pilot, and was not able to. Jim was alone, and maybe the word is
lonely.
it wasn't. Yeah, it's more lonely. But it was kind of funny because he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're getting ready to eat birthday cake," and he said, "I'm coming over." Well,
And so then Mike heard tires screeching in his driveway, and there I was. I was like,
so yep, there he was. So it was a good time. We did have a good party. We have something else too here, and I'm sorry I hit the mic stand again, and Jim knocked on the table.
yeah, but I did it. It was a sound effect I meant to do.
Jim, what is this thing right here?
That is the Google Nest.
Yeah.
And the thing that's nice about the Google Nest, if you don't have one, is the couple of things. The most important part is that one of the things that a lot of people ask us about is their ability to hear the radio station outside of the Kearney area. And as I've said before, I listen to it all over the world. However, you can listen to it in your house no matter where you are by just saying,
"Hey Google, play 102.7 FM."
And there you go. And then it'll automatically start playing the station. So you can listen to it there and the MyTuner radio app, all sorts of different ways. But what we've been doing here at the station is we've actually been giving the smart speakers away as part of a promo.
Right.
And so this time when we give one away, I should have asked this before the show started. Brian, what do they have to do this time?
Same thing as the other times. Just comment in the comment section below on this video. You don't have to do it right now as we're live. You can do it later on as you watch it, and I'll announce the winner on Friday.
All righty. Brian will announce the winner during his morning show on Friday, so just comment below who should have the speaker and why you think they should have the speaker. And we'll choose one. Well, I say Brian will choose one on his Friday morning show and give one of those away. Put those in the comment section below on Facebook.
It's just a simple nomination that don't make it complicated. Just somebody who you think is deserving. We gave one away to the basketball coach, Coach Stegeman, who's leaving for Winnetonka High School. We hate to see that, but hate to see him go. But anyway, he was the last winner.
Yeah,
as I
and
recall.
don't think that that's like because we don't want anybody else leaving.
Yeah, don't go.
I mean, like I don't want Coach Gray to just up and go, "Oh, I get a free smart speaker if I leave."
Right.
No, doesn't quite work that way. So you got to stick around just a little bit longer.
Exactly right. Are we caught up, Jim? Are those the end of our announcements there? Or,
That'll be the end of the announcements. Here in a minute, I will give the rules for what we did for.
Well, let's get started. I want to get Alex in here and give him as much time as we possibly can. So, speaking of the rules, Jim, you want to drink your coffee first?
I wasn't ready for that.
I know. I saw that. That's all right. I didn't mean to do that to you.
So what we did was, like I said earlier, if you were wanting to take a look at what the candidates thought, what their stance is on certain things, you can go to our podcast and take a look at those. And then all the candidates were provided with a set of questions that's a kind of a basis of what we had asked them. They'd been provided the questions beforehand. Then they have the chance to kind of know what we're going to ask. However, as always, we have the ability to stray from those questions just a little bit if we go into something else, not in the attempt to catch them off guard, but just to further the information and to help you make an informed decision when it comes voting day on, which has now been changed to June 2nd. That's June 2nd. So don't forget to vote. So now we'll start with Alex. And to start the questions is Mike Davis.
Thank you, Jim. Well done, sir. And Alex, I know we talked a little bit about, look, let's be serious. Plenty of people in this town at least know who your dad and your grandpa are. But let us get to know you a little better. Let's talk about your personal history, where you're from, how long you've lived in Kearney. We all know you've lived here a long time. Just talk about your background growing up here.
Sure, yeah. I was born and raised in Kearney. Technically, I was born in Smithville Hospital when they still did deliveries. But raised in Kearney my whole life. Went to Kearney High School. Was a multiple letterman in different sports, playing sports. Did gymnastics. My mom was the coach of the local gymnastics team here in Kearney.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's right. We had a lot of international athletes even on that team. So, anyways, I went on to college at Missouri S&T. Did ROTC there for a while, and then decided not to commission through that source and came home to work in the family business. And I've been there since after college and been working in the office with Dad and Grandpa and my sister Natalie.
Outstanding. I love hearing that. You love seeing a family business flourish. And, you tend to take a business that's been around for as long as Porter's Building. What's the official name? Porter's.
It's Porter's Building Centers.
Right.
Yeah.
To be around that long, you sort of think, well, they've always been there. They're just a business, and it's just like a big old oak tree standing over there. It's just there. No, it doesn't work that way. Businesses take nurturing and indeed good management to keep them in business. So it's pretty neat to see that business is still thriving and doing so much for the city. Just a side question, as a lot of times you'll see different generations come through family businesses, and the oftentimes the later generations tend to not really be able to handle the management aspect of it. I'm just curious how that's played out for you and how you've been trained so well to keep things going the way your grandpa sort of saw them.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, for one thing, Grandpa's still coming to work every day. 92 years old, still has an office 2 doors down from me.
Love that.
Kent, my dad, is across the hall. My sister's in the door next to me. And then really the staff, the management we've had at all of our stores and our people at all the stores. I mean, I grew up pushing the broom, working the cash register, and learning all the different positions from these great people that we have working for us.
Right.
And I mean, that's the deal. Dad always said, I'm not going to just give this to you. You got to work your way up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's a really big deal for my family, is that, you earn your place, and that's the only way you're going to be competent.
Well, I think it's a reflection too on the hired help. I mean, let's face
Absolutely.
it. If you just walk in there and you get the key to the executive washroom, come on, man. You paid your dues, and the other employees who aren't family members saw that, and I think they appreciate it, and they probably have a lot more respect for those who come up the hard way. And I noticed my second question here is really about your family, which I think that does a pretty nice introduction to
Sure.
Your family, your education, military service. We've talked a little bit about a career background. Talk to me a little bit more about your family, though. I mean, you
Sure.
have Mac Porter has there's a rich history of Mac Porter's the things that he's touched.
Yeah.
And helped grow throughout this community, as we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show. Just talk to me a little bit about your growing up in that family.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my grandpa came back. He came to Kearney in 1952 with a desire to open his own business. He worked as a teacher in Highland after he was a teacher at West Point after World War II. Came back to Highland, where he met my grandma, his wife, and then they moved to Kearney. And there was a hailstorm in town, and everybody was going to be getting new roofs. And he was the new guy in town. He was he didn't have a lot of buying power. He didn't have the infrastructure that he has today. And he convinced Mary Helen, his wife, to sell her car in order to buy a truckload of roofing. And so they did that. They sold her car, and then he bought this truckload of roofing and could make a little profit on it. And for the first year or so, it was strictly out of the back of his truck. And he bought an old hog barn in town to start, storing some materials. And he built the business to what it is today from that start, you know.
With how many locations now?
We've got 3 right now, and then we'll have a 4th in Smithville coming in a couple months.
Right.
Yes, sir. So, just hearing those stories growing up, I mean, it instills a certain kind of work ethic that I strive to, to meet at least. I mean, it's pretty hard to do more than that, but I can at least strive to meet it.
Would you be able to sell your wife's car to get a load of lumber?
Man, she loves her car. She would not let me sell a car.
Just wondered how that
I don't know if I'm quite the salesman Grandpa is.
How that might work out in today's economy.
Yeah, I don't know. She works in Liberty as an ultrasound technician, so she can run, but I don't know if she want to be running to Liberty every day.
Wondered if you'd be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, she loves that car. She's not getting rid of it.
That's a terrific question. I think we all know the answer to that one. Those of us who are married in the room, and that would be all of us. We know who the boss is. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Let's get down to business here. What's your motivation to becoming an alderman? Why did you decide this would be a good idea for you?
Well, the number one thing is service for me. The reason I joined the military in the first place was because I wanted to serve my country. And, I realized after 4 or 5 years, it started to dawn on me that maybe I wasn't having the impact that I had dreamed of when I was 18 and wanting to get into the service.
Right.
And while I was on my my deployment with the 18th Airborne Corps in Kuwait, I made the decision to get out of the military when I came back. My service commitment was already up during the deployment. It ended during the deployment. And then when I came home, I spent about 6 months in order to transition, bring back my knowledge of the deployment to my unit. But then I decided to get out so that I could do something that I could see a little bit more of the impact of. And a week after I separated from the Air Force, I filed for the Ward 2 seat here in Kearney.
Outstanding. And then I think, did you have political aspirations even before then? I mean, did you ever think about it even as a student council rep or whatever, if you did anything like that in high school?
Sure. Yeah, I was on student council in college a little bit, but I never really thought about doing
actual public service.
Public service as far as that goes. I always dreamed I'd be military for a long time and retire as a military officer. And really, I mean, I've always been around it. My dad's been on the planning and zoning board since I was a little kid. I've seen him go to the meetings, month after month, my whole life. My aunt and uncle have both been county commissioners. My aunt's currently the recorder of deeds, so I'm no stranger to the political environment, and I've definitely had a lot of that atmosphere around me growing up.
No doubt about it. I think you've touched a little bit on my next question about really. You've got qualifications that would qualify you, I think, for any number of different jobs.
Yeah.
But specific to aldermen, and I'm just interested to hear your point of view on all of the things that you did in the military, for example. What special kinds of skill sets do you bring from the military, your military experience, to an alderman in a town like Kearney, Missouri?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, my job in the military was an air liaison officer is what they called it before they changed our name to special warfare officer. Mm-hmm. And the reason that it was called that is because as a member of the Air Force, we speak a little bit different language than the Army does. So our job was to be on the ground with the ground troops and communicate the ground commander's intent to the aircraft, because they don't even use the same system. The Army guys are using, meters, and the Air Force guys are using feet. So you got to be able to convert that stuff in the field.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to be able to do that.
I mean,
why do they do that? I've never understood that.
It was, at least, I mean, it created my job, I guess. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
But, I was like, I was running around with a little calculator in my body armor. I never thought that would be the case when I joined the military. But,
that would qualify you for any number of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, the thing is the liaison. I mean, my job was to communicate with a bunch of different a bunch of different people from different backgrounds in order to make the mission happen. And I think that's really what city politics is. There's one overarching goal for the city to be prosperous, and there's a lot of different people with a lot of different interests that you have to entertain and make them work together to achieve that end goal.
Well, and the next question here, I'm not sure that I'm trying to remember. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, or before we went on the air, that when Marie and David were here, because of the gap in time, I've kind of forgotten what all of these questions that we have, these standardized questions that we ask, kind of forgotten some of those, just so I might ask you a few extras.
That's all
and
right.
I might kind of look at some of these and say, why are we asking this twice?
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip to the next one
Okay.
here.
All right.
Because this is one of the ones that I think is kind of interesting. And Jim, I know we've asked this of a lot of people, in your vision of 5 to 20 years down the road, which is the hardest thing on the planet to do. I mean, nobody can do that.
But it's the most important thing.
It is, and for when you're running a city, you absolutely have to plan in at least 20-year increments, especially for a city that is poised for growth, as Kearney is. Just kind of put on your long distance lens and kind of look down the road and what are some of the things that you think are going to be important as we look into the future for Kearney, Missouri?
Yeah, so the big challenge obviously is the new interchange coming in. That's going to start next year. The city's working on getting the utilities moved and everything now. It's really important that we start taking care of business today as far as our plan for 5 to 20 years from now, because what we decide today, what our culture is going to be in 20 years, is how we're going to be able to move forward successfully, right? So if we're planning year by year, it's going to be a mess. And that's obviously the last thing that we want, that we've seen that happen in neighboring cities. And obviously we don't want that in Kearney. I mean, to maintain the small town culture that we have is imperative. And I mean, most everybody that's been in Kearney for a long, long time, longer than my family even, a lot of people still think Mac is an outsider in Kearney. I know that's hard to believe, but
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, the point is, people came here for the small town culture, so that's obviously what we want to preserve.
Right.
So how we do that is by starting today, having a vision for what we want the future to look like, and then attack that vision. We want to get after it today, so that 5 years from now we're already set up for success. In my opinion, I think it comes down to, if we're not going to have big box retail, which obviously most of us don't want, if we're not going to have chain, big restaurants or whatever, then we need to focus on something that'll bring revenue to the town. And that's really going to be either tourism or industrial, so we're going to have the revenue to provide the amenities and keep up with the growth of Kearney.
Right.
So we can do that, but we have to plan for it today so that we're not handcuffed in the future by needing those chain boxes and restaurants to come in to save our butts on retail sales income.
Well said, well spoken. We've got Alex Porter in visiting with us today. He's our third alderman candidate for Ward 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Got that right. And we'll come back. We're going to take a quick break here. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Alex Porter.
Love the programming? Say a special thank you to the underwriters like these who support KPGZ.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. The world has become fast-paced, and we understand that you are busy. That's why we offer a banking experience that's as simple and stress-free as can be. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. You may just be getting off the ground or ready to move into your brick and mortar building. Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And
welcome back to Kearney Live. It's my turn to talk, and Mike doesn't realize that, but that's okay.
Sorry, Jim. I was going to have you ask the first question.
I
was going to
understand.
bring us back, but that's all right. This is all in live radio. That's what happens. Nice job. Go right ahead, sir.
Are you done?
Yes, sir.
May I?
Please do.
Thank you. We're here with Alex Porter. Thanks for joining us on Kearney Live. We're going through our questions for the candidates for Alderman. And Alex, one of the things that we asked some of the other people, and we'll ask you, what do you think the status of Kearney is right now? As far as, are we where we should be? Are we going where we should be? Are we going in the right direction? How's that looking?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously crazy right now with the COVID-19 stuff, and I've been extremely proud of our town. I mean, the amount of support that people have given to the local businesses in town, mine included. I'm very fortunate to see the amount of support that we've received from our community, and I know the businesses that were able to stay open, were frequented heavily by the people in town. So, given the status of everything right now, I think our town has done a great job of showing, rather than just talking about, their support for local. And that's just huge because, we all say we want a small town culture. And when the time came to show it, the people of Kearney have shown it. Now we just need to, make sure we continue that support as other businesses start opening back up. The initial wave of the pandemic, maybe the shock factor of it may be wearing off at this point, but it's important that we continue to support these businesses that are just now getting to open, because they're the ones that were hurt worse. The people that like our business, it's we've been able to stay open and continue to service the community, but these other businesses haven't.
Yeah, one of the things we've talked about is that the communities that have done better during this whole thing are the ones that were in good shape coming into it. So the ones that were weak, beforehand are now really, suffering a little bit. So how do you think Kearney has been development-wise, putting the pandemic thing aside?
Okay.
How do you think Kearney's been at keeping up development and staying ahead of everything to help grow as they move forward? Because they've grown pretty nicely, while other communities, let's leave Liberty out of it, but there's other communities that have been kind of stagnant. How's Kearney been able to stay with that, and where do you see your ability to make sure that continues?
Yeah, so I mean, I think our culture clearly was doing well to begin with. As we've seen the support now, like you said, the culture moving into this was strong, so that's why we've been able to maintain that strong culture. I think, basically, we need to make sure that we frequent the businesses that are fulfilling our needs, and everything will be able to work out. Basically, the businesses in town, we have very few chain places, and I think that's something really to be proud of for Kearney. And so I think as long as it's I always say the customer gets the vote, right? I mean, it's up to them. And if your business is strong, and I think a lot of them in Kearney have been, it's because the customer, the people of Kearney, have voted and said that your business is something that we want
you
here.
vote with your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about that. We asked, obviously, the other two candidates this question about the whole the major amenities that this city may or may not have, like a large community center, recreation or swimming pool, or things like, we used as an example the recreation center in Gladstone. Excelsior Springs has a real nice one. That's just an example. What are your views on whether Kearney should have something like that? And I think, look, we know the swimming pool issue is divided maybe right down the middle. I don't know for sure, but some are all over it.
Yeah.
Swimming parents especially.
Yeah.
And others understandably. But let's just talk about those big infrastructure type recreational amenities. I mean, how do you see that shaping up in the future here?
Well, right now, with everything that's come in, the city's lost a lot of revenue for the everything with the virus, and right now we really need to focus on our infrastructure, because if we don't have that squared away before this growth starts happening with the new interchange, we're going to be really in a bad way. So I don't think we should be spending a lot of money on amenities like that right now. That doesn't mean we don't need them and we shouldn't have them in the future. But there's private businesses that are going to be able to put up the money to do that. Over by the post office, I know here soon there's going to be a new business over there that's going to have pools and a restaurant, I believe, and so hopefully that'll be able to privately fulfill a lot of that need. At the same time, it's.
I get it. I see the look. COVID messed a ton of things up, and it's obviously messed up. Even what we're trying to do here from the standpoint of even how we answer, how you're able to respond to these questions, just because of the monumental impact that a pandemic has on an entire nation, if not an entire planet. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just think although we shouldn't be spending a ton of money on those kind of things right now, there are other things that the city can do with the things that it already has to offer our townspeople more. We've got a lot of park space, more than most towns around here. We've got Watkins Mill, we've got Jesse James, we've got Mac Porter Park. I've been a big proponent for the dog park. I know other people have said stuff about it. It's a really inexpensive way to draw people to Kearney. I know, me and my wife, if we don't go out to Jesse James or Mac Porter to walk our dog, sometimes we go to Liberty because they have an actual dog park that we can let our dog off and run around. Right. I think that would be a really inexpensive way to utilize the park space that we already have and offer a lot of people in town another amenity.
No doubt about that. And I think, go ahead, Jim.
As a follow-up, and I think Marie, we talked to her about this, so we'll ask you just in all fairness, but one of the things that we have is the amphitheater out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And trying to make sure that, we get the biggest bang for our buck out of that deal. Yeah. So what do you think of the amphitheater? Could we do more with it? Are we doing enough with it? You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, obviously there's nothing this year, right? But
that's a whole
man. I know.
Yeah, so
not a lot of people happy about that.
Yeah, that's tough.
We'll cover that here in just a moment.
Unfortunately, the city is really just following, the guidance from above, our municipality on the health and safety concerns with the amphitheater. Unfortunately, it's really not. It wasn't a very hard choice for them. They had to kind of follow along with that kind of health and safety concerns. But putting that aside, the amphitheater, the city, before this all started coming, had spoken at length in their budget meeting about how to best utilize the amphitheater. They've tried, fewer big acts to draw bigger crowds, and they've tried more small acts. And that was this year, I think, was supposed to be less expensive acts brought into town to have more frequent events, So either way, it's a good thing. I think what we really need to focus on is promoting it outside of Kearney, because obviously people in Kearney are going to know about it and they're going to hear about it. But again, back to my previous point, we can increase our revenue if we start increasing the number of people that come from outside of Kearney into Kearney.
Making Kearney a destination.
Exactly. And you don't have to lose the small town culture to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and I know Mayor Pogue had talked to me about starring in The Music Man.
Oh, yeah?
And I was unable to come to a contractual agreement on that. But, and to go back to the point about them having to cancel the fireworks and all that sort of thing, that is just a no-win situation for them.
Yeah.
Granted, the way the health department has kind of structured this whole thing, and then there's always the benefit of hindsight. So, if the health department, and I'm going to kind of go out, this is a little bit off topic, but if the health department comes out tomorrow and says, forget it, it's free reign, do whatever you want to do. These things take time to plan. You have to budget these things ahead of time, the fireworks and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a non-recoverable thing. I mean, it is what it is. You have to plan them ahead, and I feel sorry for the city guys and women, men and women, I guess is the way to say, that had to go ahead and cancel something for the whole year because you have no control over it. But that said, looking forward to next year, what would you? Are you saying more bigger or less smaller?
So, I can't say that I'm the expert on that because I haven't been here doing that. Haven't been involved with that, and I think the people we have in charge of it now are doing a good job of exploring different options. And I mean, that's really what we need to do. And then once we've figured out which is the better approach, we can stick with that and go after it more aggressively. I think in either case, the big thing is that we need to be promoting it outside of Kearney more often. I think there's a lot of people that probably don't know that Kearney, where they don't come to regularly for other things, has a venue that they can have enjoyable nights out, for an inexpensive cost.
Not to mention the walking trails. And,
absolutely.
Just the park in general. I mean, it is a great place to be.
Yeah.
And there are other events that are up there, I guess. I mean, it remains to be seen if there's going to be anything. Do you know? I mean, this summer, is everything closed, or do you have any idea at this point?
Boy, I think it would be tough for me to give you a solid answer on that anyway.
I think
Brian was shaking his head.
Yeah, I think they canceled the whole thing just because of the planning that's involved. I mean, you can't book anything now because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
as far as private events, I'm not sure, though, if people are going to take that chance or if the city's even going to let them, really,
Yeah,
that's a whole nother.
It is, and I think it's pure speculation. We none of us knows
exactly.
But it does. It brings us to another legitimate question that the other two answered.
Okay,
and that is with respect to public safety and our police, fire department, and so forth, and emergency response people for as Kearney grows, and clearly, as you mentioned before, the interchange is going to add to that. It's going to add a traffic flow and hopefully lighten it up a little bit up here.
Yeah, hopefully.
But it will have somewhat of an impact when we talk about emergency preparedness. Talk a little bit about what you see in the future and your point of view on that.
Yeah, so my point of view is that people in city politics or politics in general, we're not the experts, right? The fire department, the police department, they're the experts. They're going to know what they need and what capabilities they're lacking. So it's the same thing for me in the military. Like, I needed to be able to express the capability that I needed, and then for my higher ups to provide that capability. So I think for a politician to say they need new cars or they need a new station or that, I mean, that's not our expertise, right? So, I mean, if the police station says we need this capability, here's how you can provide it. We want to provide that, right? So they're going to be the ones to come forward with the capabilities that they need. And I think that they have been, they've gotten what they need.
Right.
As far as I know, as far as I've heard.
Yeah, well said. This is Alex Porter with us today. Here we are on Kearney Live. We're going to take a short break here. Jim, did you have something real quick? I saw you moving up to the mic there. I didn't want to cut you off again.
Just readjusting myself.
Well
in the
done,
chair.
sir. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after this short message from the Kearney Trust Company. Stay with us.
Say thank you to these local businesses who support KPGZ.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. The world has become fast-paced, and we understand that you are busy. That's why we offer a banking experience that's as simple and stress-free as can be. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. You may just be getting off the ground or ready to move into your brick and mortar building. Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. We've got Alex Porter in here with us today. He is number 3 of 3 alderman candidates for the Ward 2 right here in Kearney, Missouri. And the election is June the 2nd, my baby sister's birthday. I mentioned that last week, I think. And I told her, I gave her a shout out. I hope she's listening. I don't know if she is or not. Alex, one of the things that I love to know about folks, especially those who live here, like yourself, what neighborhood do you live in, if you don't mind mentioning?
Yeah, me and my wife live in Brookhaven over by the high school.
Right. And just out of curiosity, what are some of your favorite places to kind of hang out and spend time here in Kearney? And you can mention businesses if you want.
Yeah, well, obviously I spend a lot of time at Porter's Building Centers.
Well, there's that.
As far as favorite places to hang out, not businesses, me and my wife like to play pickleball a lot. Obviously, it's
nice
right down the street from us. So we didn't know what that really was when it went in.
Still don't.
Yeah. I mean,
still don't get it.
I told you guys and Mr. Mayor that, we're ready for the pickleball challenge.
He wanted you on his team or
I think
something
so.
like that because he wanted to lose. But
you want to be on my team then?
Yeah, I guess I'll be on your team.
It was going to be rigged because we would have had a ringer. Alex would have been the ringer because Jim and I, it's sort of like playing tennis on a small court with a long-handled ping pong paddle, right?
Yeah, it's something between tennis and ping pong. It's pretty amazing though. I mean, I feel like I'm somewhat athletic given my military requirements for physical fitness, and I get smoked out there by people.
I was somewhat
see where this is going.
30 years ago.
I know exactly.
I don't know.
Not so much now.
It's a fun game for everyone, though. So besides the pickleball courts, we go out to Jesse James Fairgrounds, and we go out to Mac Porter Park. We have a border collie poodle mix, and she's got a lot of energy, so we like to get her out, outside the fence and run around with her, so we like to go out there every once in a while as well.
You got to wear out those dogs.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. I've got Jeannie and I have a couple of very large German Shepherds who need their walk.
Need some exercise.
Yes, or they run in the house. And that's unacceptable. So,
right.
yeah.
You going back to, you did an interview or however they did it with the Courier Tribune, and I was going to bring up something that you did that I thought was rather unique, and I liked it a lot. It had to do with the question, and I forget how they phrased it, so I'll probably murder it here, but it had to do with the marijuana dispensary or however they worded it. And one of the things I thought was unique, and I really appreciated it, was a lot of people, when they're asked about that, they launch into the morality of the whole thing and everything else. And you took a different approach, and you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you approached it from, it's not so much that's all well and good, but it has to do with demand and all that. We've already got one here.
Sure.
We really don't need 6, and even if we had 6, I don't think a bunch of people would come flocking up here for them.
Right.
So, but talk to us just a little bit about, it's not necessarily the type of business. It's what the need and the demand and the want is here in Kearney.
Yeah, I mean, those medical marijuana dispensaries are heavily regulated. The licenses for the dispensaries have only come out within the last 6 months. And Kearney was only awarded one, so it's not like even if somebody wanted to open another one, they wouldn't be able to. The point of these businesses aren't to have a big giant pot leaf on the front of the door and say, "Come on in." I mean, it's a very medical style facility. It's going to be, as far as I know, in the on Platte Clay Way in the medical offices, that are in there. It's not going to be in a retail environment, and they're not even allowed to advertise. Other than I think a green cross on the door is the most that they can do. So I really think that the impact economically is going to be pretty negligible. But the thing is, there's people in town that may have prescriptions for medical marijuana, and they're going to have a convenient place to get it in town. And the fact that how regulated it is, I don't think that we will see it proliferated past the medical necessity, which is obviously everyone's concern. I mean, recreational marijuana is not legal. We don't want to see it getting into kids' hands, obviously. But, the medical marijuana is legal. It is here. It is coming. So, I mean, as long as we stay educated on what they are and aren't allowed to do, I don't think that anybody is going to even know that they're there unless they have a necessity to go to that location.
What is something looking forward? Kearney has a lot of strong points, and has actually done really well in its development and keeping up with things. And not to catch you off guard, but if you were to pick out a weak point of Kearney, what would it be?
I think it's the divide between wanting the vast amenities, shopping. You want everything that a big city has, but you want the culture of a small town.
Right.
So that's I wouldn't say that's a weakness. Of course we want more amenities, and of course we want a small town culture. So the tricky part is figuring out how do we do that, And like I said, I think tourism is a huge thing. Kearney has so much to offer. We just need to get that out to people in the surrounding towns. Like, stop going to the city, stop driving through Kearney. We have a lot to offer right here. And if we get people from outside Kearney to spend their money in Kearney, that's really where we're going to be able to have the amenities, have the income to have the amenities, and keep the small town culture.
Let me ask you this, Alex. When you talk about, making Kearney a destination, and I understand, listen, my personal opinion is that I think the whole Jesse James story is completely underutilized in Kearney. From an historical point of view, I think there are things that are so fascinating, not just about him, the person, but about the time that Jesse James was around. And I feel like there are things that surround the legendary history of Jesse James that could be leveraged in such a manner that would make Kearney a destination. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think as far as the Midwest people go, and especially people from Kearney, like we're we have a pride, I guess, for Jesse James and that he's here, but the national culture is somewhat different. I mean, he was a notorious bank robber,
right? No doubt about that. True.
It's a little bit of a tricky situation trying to advertise a criminal as a point to come see our town that was the home of this criminal.
True.
But I mean, I think everyone has people that know the Jesse James story. I think have different opinions, but perception's reality, right? So it's difficult to advertise the Jesse James only. I think it's a very strong point for us, for people in the immediate surrounding area. Just the fairgrounds in general. I don't care what you call them.
Right.
I mean, they're great fairgrounds. We have a great festival. We've got the amphitheater out there. We've got soccer fields. We've got walking trail. Hopefully soon we got a dog park.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
So I'm thinking you're for the dog park.
Yeah, our dog likes to run. Our dog is really fast. She likes to run. Our fence, she can't even get up to full speed, So,
right.
Yeah, I just think it's an inexpensive way to bring an amenity to town while not hurting our budget that's already taxed because of the current economic environment.
Right.
Yeah, I think, Mike, going back to what you're saying is you're not glamorizing Jesse James, what he did.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
the historical value of it. For
Right.
example, we did that piece on Jesse James' home.
On the farm.
On the farm
and,
up there.
and the rehab on this amazing historic structure.
And the cool thing about it is it's not just Jesse James.
Right.
But it was the history. There were so many things that I learned about the time while we were up there.
Exactly my point.
Yeah, that was outside. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And it really served as kind of a history lesson more than, I never took it while we were up there as, I get what he did. I understand.
It wasn't glorifying a criminal in the
Sure.
least. In fact,
it's almost, I hate to say this, but when you go down to Dallas, which I've done several times for the Kennedy thing,
I know what you're talking about.
You're not glorifying what Oswald did, but you're learning the history of it.
Yeah,
And I think that's kind of the approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't mean to insinuate that.
No, I didn't take it. No, I wanted your thoughts.
No, and I think I understand people get like violent about the whole thing, and you're not glamorizing what he did. Former law enforcement guy here. You don't go and glamorize a bank robber, but it's the history of the whole thing.
Yeah, clearly is. I want to jump real quickly because you could probably tell me more about this than I know.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier that you're opening up a Porter's over in Smithville.
Yes, sir.
And that is interesting to me from the standpoint that I know that there's going to be a price chopper that's going to go in this same little shopping area, which I believe is on the west side of 169 Highway, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Talk to me a little bit about that. It's exciting because it's a local business that's expanding here, in the Northland.
Absolutely. So it's really exciting for us. We're going to be open here in a couple months. The building's still under construction, so we don't have a hard grand opening date yet, but we hope to be open by mid to late July. When the development started a few years ago, we showed interest and purchased the piece of land there in order to build a store there. So it's been a few years coming. So it's really coming to a head now, and we're really excited for it. Specifically because although Mac and the Porter family, I would say a lot of people think of us as a longtime Kearney family. Mac is actually from Paradise, and he went to high school in Smithville, and he was, I think, the first person on their wall of fame there at Smithville High School, or maybe the city. I can't remember.
How about that?
Yeah, so it's really cool to see Mac, be involved in this still as we're bringing Porters to Smithville, which is where our family, two generations above him was from.
Wow.
So when Kearney plays Smithville in sports, he must be perplexed.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's still a Kearney guy.
I was going to say, but
He's a Bulldog.
when we do the football games, it's kind of funny because he's always there up there he's in the box booth just down the hall from us. So,
right.
It's always good to see him out there at the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
He enjoys it a lot.
How we doing on time, Brian? Closing up here. Got a few minutes left. Alex, anything that you just want to share with your constituency out there, the folks that would be the voters that would potentially put you? Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I actually do. This year, our voting place for Ward 2 has changed. It's no longer the old Knights of Columbus, the Church Annunciation Church venue. It is going to be at the Trinity Lutheran Church over by the old intermediate school. It's really important that everybody realizes your voting location has changed. If you're in Ward 2, it's at the Trinity Lutheran Church, and the election is on June 2nd. That's this coming Tuesday.
There you go. That was well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the Annunciation Church, as you well know, Jim, is the church where everybody speaks clearly.
Well, they used to when you could go there. Thank you. I
got it.
I like it a lot.
I got the crickets. All right.
Welcome to the club.
Well, I know, but I can't resist when I hear Annunciation.
So don't forget that the voting is on June 2nd, and so we have today's broadcast, obviously, and then you can go back and look at all the previous ones we've done with the previous the people that are running for different positions. We also have a number of shows coming up that deal with upcoming elections, because these elections have been now kind of, because of the pandemic, spread all out all over the place. But we've got different commissioner candidates. We've got Bob Nance is going to be on the show coming up. So keep looking to Facebook Live, our Facebook page and our website to keep posted on all the different people that are coming up. And then we have other shows in there as well.
No doubt about it, Jim. In fact, Brian handed me a note to remind us that there will be no Kearney Live next week. It will be a best of Kearney Live, Brian. And then back on June 10th, as you mentioned, Jim, with Clay County Treasurer Bob Nance. A big thank you to Alex Porter. Thanks so much for being with us, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
We just love your family, and it's great seeing you in here, and the tradition and everything that we've been able to meet Mac, and he's actually been now 3 generations have been on this show. I don't know
awesome.
that any other family can make that claim.
I'm glad to be the one.
Thanks so much for being with us, and thank you for being with us. And don't forget, the flagship sponsor of this very show is Kearney Trust Company, and we appreciate everything they've done for us from the very beginning. Don't forget about it, folks. Shop local. We'll see you not next week, but on June the 10th with Bob Nance, Clay County Treasurer. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you then.